Is Damian Willemse still the best Springbok fullback option? That is the question for today. As always, let me know your guys' opinions down in the comments. Leave this video a like, and if you haven't, please hit that subscribe button. It means the absolute world to me. We're trying to grow the game of rugby through this content, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. Now, let's get into it. And I think this is an interesting topic to discuss because Damian Willemse hasn't played in a single test match this year for the Springboks. The last time we saw him was in the 2023 Rugby World Cup. Obviously, he went through that injury and it was a big loss, but I think it has helped us uncover a couple of stars, right? We've been able to test players like Apelele Fassi in that 15 jersey, a player like Kewan Horn who's been coming up. Yes, Jordan Hendrikse got his opportunity in that number 10 jersey, but maybe they'll start looking at Jordan Hendrikse a little bit more as a 50 now because of the things he started to do with the Sharks. So there are quite a few names in the hat at the moment, and probably the five best fullbacks for the Springboks at the moment are Willie le Roux, Damian Willemse, Apelele Fassi, Jordan Hendrikse, and Kewan Horn. And I think Rassie Erasmus and the coaching staff are going to have to pick from those five players for this November tour where we play Scotland, England, and Wales. And I'm going to discuss this as a selection basis for these November tests because we're not going to be able to take over all of those players. They are going to have to cut them down. And my question is, does Damian Willemse get back into the Springbok side this year? I'm sure he will be playing a lot of rugby for the Springboks for the years to come, but will Rassie Erasmus and the coaching staff bring him in for this end of year tour? So if we look at the options that we have, Willie le Roux, who's sort of an aging Springbok at the moment, he's got 97 caps. I'm sure he wants to, and I'm sure Rassie Erasmus and the Springboks also want to get Willie to that 100 cap mark. So I would probably think that he's going to go on this tour in November. He's also been playing some very decent rugby for the Blue Bulls, and you kind of know what you're going to get from Willie le Roux. He's a dynamic player. He's a general. He controls that backline. We saw that cross kick to Butcher Chamberlain. Willie le Roux still wants to go to the next Rugby World Cup, so he is definitely going to have his hand up to go over in November. Then obviously we've seen the likes of Apelele Fassi sort of come through the ranks in the last couple of months for the Springboks. He did play, I think, for the Springboks back in, I think it was 2021. It could have been couldn't have been 2020. It was definitely 2021. And then he kind of fell out of favor with the Springboks, and now he's come back in the 2024 season, and he's absolutely shot the lights out. Now, I see two opinions on Apelele Fassi. One, that he's this phenom that we're going to sort of carry with us to the next Rugby World Cup. And a lot of people think that he's slightly overrated, that he's only really good on attack, that he makes silly errors, and that maybe his defense isn't up to scratch. But what you need to remember is that Rassie Erasmus and the coaching staff are trying to implement this new strategy from Tony Brown, this new attacking strategy, and Apelele Fassi falls perfectly into that strategy. He's very good at counter-attacking. He's very good at in the air, getting possession back for the Springboks so that we can launch another attack. I also think his defense has very much improved since the last time we saw him in a Springbok jersey. If you think back to that Ellis Park test against New Zealand, where you think he made 3, 4, even 5 tackles on the try line, he did end up getting a yellow card for being offside in one of them. But his defense has definitely improved, and I get the feeling that he's a confidence player. So he's riding high on confidence right now, and I think he is definitely one of the guys that names is in the hat, and his hand is up to go on that November tour. Two guys who probably won't go on the November tour are Kewan Horn and Jordan Hendrikse. We saw Kewan Horn against Portugal. He's been playing some phenomenal rugby for the Lions, and it's just adding that depth to the Springbok outfit, so that when someone like Damian Willemse is injured, we don't just have to fall back on Willie le Roux. Now we have Apelele Fassi, we have Kewan Horn, and now Jordan Hendrikse is also somewhat in the mix. Like I said, he did start at 10, but the Sharks have started to see him as a 15, and maybe that's because Sia Masuku is in that 10 jersey, but Jordan Hendrikse is a very, very good 15, and I think what adds a little bit of an extra feather to Jordan Hendrikse's cap is that he does kick for poles for the Sharks. He shares that responsibility with Sia Masuku, but he drops some massive, massive bombs. It's how they won the Currie Cup. He's been dropping bombs in the URC. So Jordan Hendrikse's kicking capability might put him a couple rungs up the ladder, if you want to say it like that, because of his kicking, and we know the woes that the Springboks have been having in that kicking department. So can Damian Willemse get back into the squad for the November tour, and is he still the best Springbok fullback? Look, I think the short answer is probably yes. When Damian Willemse is on song, he's one of the best rugby players in the world. We saw that in the 2023 Rugby World Cup, we saw that in the 2019 Rugby World Cup, and we saw that for those 4 years in between those World Cups. He's also just come back to the Stormers. He won man of the match the last weekend. So Damian Willemse is definitely still in his prime. I think he needs a couple more miles after that injury. Yes, I know it was just a finger injury, but it did keep him out for several months. And again, it shows the quality of Damian Willemse and the quality and the head he has on him, because he comes back from this injury and he goes and wins man of the matches, and he's really playing some good rugby for the Stormers. He's also got 40 odd caps for the Springboks, so he's vastly experienced. I just don't know. I wouldn't want to be Rassie Erasmus or the Springbok team at the moment, because how you pick a fullback or a couple of fullbacks to go on this tour, I think is going to come down to one, form, two, how do they build into the long-term plan within the Springboks going forward to that 2027 Rugby World Cup, and how do you keep building that depth in the Springbok side. So if I had to hazard a guess, and we could only take 2, maybe 3 fullbacks / utility backs, I do think they're going to take Willie Leroux. I do think it would be a shame if they don't take Apalele Fassi, just because of how well he played for the Springboks earlier this year. And I do think they are going to take Damian Willemse on that tour in November. Whether he starts, whether he comes off of the bench in a couple of games and sort of regains that Springbok form and back into sort of that camp. And to answer the question, the title of the video, is Damian Willemse still the best Springbok fullback? I think yes. I think he is. When he's on song, like I said, he's definitely the best fullback, and he adds that utility. He can play 12. We saw him play 10 for the Stormers when Warwick Galan came on. So Damian Willemse is a generational player, and he definitely will be included in the plans for the Springboks going towards that 2027 Rugby World Cup. The only sort of question mark I have is, are they going to bring him in for this November tour against Scotland, England, and Wales? You guys let me know down in the comments whether you think he's going to come with. I think he should come with, whether he comes off the bench in the first game and then maybe starts the second and benches in the third game. But I think Damian Willemse is too much of a talent to leave at home. He's too much of a talent to push to the side. So for me, I'm pro Damian Willemse, and if we can take Willie Leroux, Apalele Fassi, and Damian Willemse on this tour, that is the perfect scenario for me. But let me know down in the comments what you guys think. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, leave this video a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy. Peace.